Once upon a time, in far-off France, there lived a man named Louis Pasteur. Now and then this man, who was a doctor of science, would put on his tall black hat and his bright orange coat and walk in the park. "I believe I can, I believe I can," he would say to himself as he went along. What do you think it was that Louis Pasteur believed he could do? It was something important, so important that Louis Pasteur didn't even notice the other people in the park. I must find the rabies germs that hide inside people and make them sick, so sick that they die. Once I find the invisible enemy, I'll think of a way to kill it. Then sick people will be well again. Louis Pasteur sat on a bench and thought about that invisible enemy. "I just know I can do it," he said. "What a silly man," said some children who happened to be near. "If an enemy is invisible, that means no one can see it. If no one can see it, no one can find it." Louis Pasteur pretended that he didn't hear those noisy children. He hurried to his laboratory on Elm Street in Paris, where he worked every day. Some of the children followed him. So did some grown-ups who wanted to know what he was doing. They peeped through the laboratory window. "You'll never do it," they shouted. "No one can find an invisible enemy." Louis Pasteur didn't care what the children thought. He didn't care what the grown-ups thought either. He believed in himself. "I know I'm right," he said. "I'm sure I can do it." So because he believed in himself, he kept on working. He kept on doing what he thought was right. It was hard work, but Louis Pasteur was happy. He knew that if he did find the invisible enemy, the rabies germs, he would help many sick people to be well again. While the mean children laughed and poked fun at Louis Pasteur, who was working in his laboratory in France, a little boy was laughing and poking a stick at a poor, sick dog in another land far away, a land called Germany. The boy's name was Joey. He wasn't really a cruel little boy. He was just thoughtless, as children sometimes are, and he liked to tease, as children sometimes do. Soon Joey could see the dog was very mad. He even had white foam around his mouth, foam like whipped cream. He tried to bark, as if to say, "Stop it," but he couldn't bark. Something was wrong. Do you know what was wrong? Suppose you could look inside that dog with a great magnifying glass or a microscope. What would you see? That's right, you'd see the invisible enemy, the rabies germs that were making the dog so sick. The dog was so sick and so mad that he would bite at anything, even at the rocks or the trees. If he could, he would surely bite the boy who had poked a stick at him. When Joey went off, he didn't notice one very important thing. Can you see what that thing was? Yes, it was the gate. The gate in the fence had come open. The mad, sick dog could get out. He could run after Joey and bite him. That's exactly what the dog did. "Ouch! Ouch!" cried Joey as the mad, sick dog bit him on the arms and the legs. And then it happened. The invisible enemy, the rabies germs that were hiding in the dog, traveled from the dog's foaming mouth into the little boy. "Help! Help!" Joey shouted. "Daddy, please help me!" Joey's father heard, and he ran out of his cottage to see what was the matter. When he saw the dog biting his little boy, he was terribly afraid. Yes, he was a big, strong man, but he was afraid. Sometimes even daddies are afraid. But Joey's father was brave. He ran toward the dog. "Get away! Get away!" he shouted at the dog. He waved his arms and stamped his feet. The dog ran off. Joey's father chased the dog back through the gate. When the dog was safely behind the fence, Joey's father carefully closed the gate. But the damage had already been done. The little boy was lying on the ground, crying and bleeding. He had been bitten 14 times. "I'm afraid my boy is going to be very sick," said Joey's father to himself. His father picked Joey up. "Did you tease that dog?" he asked. "Yes, Daddy, and I'm sorry," whispered Joey. He was badly hurt, and he felt very tired. "I'll take you home," said his father sadly. He was sad because he knew the terrible thing that had happened to his son. The little boy now had the invisible enemy, the rabies germs, hiding inside him. Soon he was not only hurt and tired, he was sick. Everyone who knew Joey was sad. Everyone knew that if a person was bitten by a sick, mad dog, that person would surely die. Before long, the sick dog died. It was very quiet in Joey's room. His parents did not know how to help Joey. They could only wait. And this is the end of part 1. If you click on part 2, you'll finish the story.